We have to go. Now.
What? Why?
No time. Just come with me.
Okay, but wait.
Zainab heard it before she felt it. The violent tear of her blouse as hands she couldn't count pulled at her from every direction. The casino floor had gone silent except for the jeering, the laughter that sounded like breaking glass. "This is what happens to thieves," Manager Kwan spat, his fingers digging into her shoulder. "Strip her. Let everyone see what she really is." She tried to fight. God, she tried. But there were too many of them, and her wrists were already zip-tied behind her back. The cold air hit her skin as her blouse gave way completely, and shame burned hotter than any physical pain ever could. 3 hours ago, she'd been just another cleaner in the Golden Dragon Casino, invisible in her gray uniform, pushing her cart through the VIP rooms where Korea's elite gambled away fortunes. 3 hours ago, she'd had dignity. Then Kwan had called her into his office. "Someone saw you," he'd said, spinning his computer screen toward her. The security footage showed her entering the private suite on the 15th floor, the one she'd been specifically told never to clean. "You stole from Mr. Jin's personal safe, 20 million won." I didn't even know there was a safe. I was just cleaning." The slap had come so fast, she'd tasted blood before she felt the sting. Now, on the main floor with hundreds of eyes on her, Zainab squeezed her own eyes shut. She thought of Adeb back in their tiny apartment, probably eating the rice and eggs she'd left him for dinner. 6 years old and already too aware that his mother worked 3 jobs to keep them fed. Already too familiar with hunger. She'd come to Seoul 4 years ago with nothing but hope and a pregnancy she didn't plan. Adeb's father, a smooth-talking Korean businessman she'd met in Nairobi, had disappeared the moment she'd told him. She'd arrived at Incheon Airport with his promises ringing hollow in her ears and $40 in her pocket. "Please," she whispered, hatting the way her voice cracked. "I have a son, please." "Should have thought about that before you decided to steal." Kwan grabbed her hair, yanking her head back. "Mr. Jin doesn't tolerate thieves, neither do I." Someone's phone camera flashed. Another. Soon there would be videos everywhere. She'd never find work again. They'd deport her. Adeb would end up in a system that didn't want him, belonging nowhere, wanted by no one. The thought made something inside her snap. "I didn't take anything." Her scream cut through the crowd's noise. "Check the footage again. I was in that room for 8 minutes, 8 minutes. I cleaned the bathroom and left. I never touched a safe. I never even saw a safe." "Lying won't save you." Kwan nodded to his men. "Finish it." Hands reached for her bra clasp. That's when the elevator chimed. The sound shouldn't have meant anything. Elevators chimed constantly in a casino, but something in that particular tone made everyone freeze. The doors slid open, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Jin stepped out. Zainab had never seen him in person before. The casino's owner was a ghost, a name whispered in hushed tones by staff who'd worked there for years without ever glimpsing him. But she knew him instantly. Everyone did. He was young, impossibly young to command the kind of fear that preceded him into the room. 30, maybe. Tall, with the kind of face that belonged in magazines except for his eyes. Those eyes were ancient. Cold. They swept across the scene with the detachment of someone watching insects. He wore a simple black suit, perfectly tailored. No jewelry, no ostentation. He didn't need it. The crowd parted like he was Moses, and they were the Red Sea. "Mr. Jin," Kwan released Zainab so fast she nearly fell. "I was just handling the situation. This woman stole from your private suite. I was making an example." Jin's gaze finally landed on Zainab. She should have looked away. Every instinct screamed at her to drop her eyes, to make herself small, to disappear. But something in his expression held her frozen. He wasn't looking at her like Kwan did, like she was trash. He was looking at her like she was a puzzle he was solving. His eyes traveled from her face to her torn, clothing to her bound wrists. "Who tied her?" His voice was quiet, conversational, somehow that made it more terrifying. I did, sir, for security purposes." "Cut them." "Sir." "Cut them." A knife appeared. Zainab felt the zip ties fall away. Blood rushed back into her hands with painful tingles. Jin removed his suit jacket with slow, deliberate movements. Then he was standing in front of her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and understated, and he draped the jacket over her shoulders. The silk lining was still warm from his body. "Your name," he said. Zainab. Zainab. He said it perfectly, the syllables rolling off his tongue like he'd said it 1,000 times before. "Did you take money from my safe?" She met his eyes. No. He studied her for a long moment, then he turned to Kwan. "Show me the footage." "Sir, I already reviewed." "Show me." They moved to Kwan's office in a procession. Jin first, then Kwan scrambling to keep up, then Zainab walking on numb legs with 2 guards flanking her. The jacket hung on her like a child playing dress-up, but it covered her. That was something. The footage played on 3 screens simultaneously. Zainab watched herself enter the suite at 14:47. She cleaned the bathroom, wiped down surfaces, emptied the trash. At 14:55, she left. Jin leaned forward. "Go back, frame by frame from 14:51 to 14:52. Kwan's hands shook on the mouse. The frames advanced one by one, Zainab cleaning, Zainab reaching for the doorknob, and then a glitch. The screen flickered black for exactly 3 frames. When it came back, the timestamp jumped. 14:51:43 to 14:52:11. 28 seconds missing. Jin's expression didn't change, but the air in the room grew thick. Heavy, Kwan was sweating. That's just a technical. "Someone edited this footage," Jin said softly. "Someone who knew how to make it subtle, almost invisible." He turned to Zainab, but not quite invisible enough. Hope fluttered in her chest like a trapped bird. Then Jin looked at Kwan, and Zainab saw something in the manager's face that she'd never seen before. Pure terror. "Tell me," Jin said, still in that same quiet voice, "how much of my money did you actually steal?" Kwan's face went from red to white in the space of a heartbeat. "Sir, I would never. This is absurd." Jin pulled out his phone, tapped twice, and held it up. Bank statements filled the screen. Withdrawals, transfers, dates and amounts highlighted in red. 230 million won over 6 months, Jin said. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Or did you think I was too busy to care about a manager skimming from the cage?" Zainab's mind raced. Kwan had stolen millions. He'd needed a scapegoat. And she, invisible, foreign, powerless, had been perfect. "I have records," Kwan stammered. "Witnesses, everyone saw her in your suite." "Everyone saw what you wanted them to see." Jin pocketed his phone. "You edited the footage, added those missing seconds to make it look like she had time to crack a safe she didn't know existed. Then you staged this little performance to divert attention before your quarterly audit." He tilted his head. "Did I miss anything?" Kwan lunged for the door. He made it 3 steps before one of Jin's men, a mountain of a man who'd been standing so still Zainab had forgotten he was there, moved. It was almost casual, the way he grabbed Kwan by the collar and slammed him against the wall hard enough to crack the drywall. "Please," Kwan's bladder released. The stain spread down his expensive trousers. "I'll pay it back, all of it. I have a family." "So does she," Jin gestured at Zainab. "You were going to destroy her life to save yourself. You were going to strip her naked in front of 300 people, humiliate her, make sure she could never work again." He stepped closer to Kwan. "Did you think about her family then?" Zainab should have felt vindicated, triumphant. Instead, she felt cold. "Take him to the basement," Jin said. "I'll deal with him later." The mountain man dragged Kwan out. His pleas echoed down the hallway until a door slammed, cutting them off mid-scream. Jin turned to Zainab. "You're free to go. You'll find 3 months severance pay in your account by morning, plus compensation for tonight's incident." He was dismissing her. This was over. She should have left, should have run, should have grabbed Ade and disappeared before Jin changed his mind or decided she'd seen too much. But something made her stay rooted to the spot. "Why did you help me?" Jin paused halfway to the door. I don't like thieves. Quan stole from me. You didn't. That's not what I mean. She clutched his jacket tighter around herself. You could have just fired him quietly, handled it internally. Why did you save me? He turned slowly. In the harsh office lighting, she could see things she'd missed before. The scar cutting through his left eyebrow, the exhaustion buried beneath his controlled exterior, the way he held himself like a man who'd forgotten how to relax. 7 years ago, he said, I watched my father's men strip a woman naked in our compound. She'd been accused of betraying the family. She hadn't. But by the time my father discovered the truth, she'd already thrown herself off a bridge. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. I was 23, too young to stop it, too weak to speak up. I'm not weak anymore. The confession hung between them like smoke. I'm sorry, Zainab whispered. Don't be, it taught me something important. His eyes met hers. Power without purpose is just cruelty. I refuse to be cruel. Something in those words cracked open a wall she'd built around herself. Before she could think better of it, she said, Your father. Is he? Dead 3 years now. Jin said it without emotion, like reporting the weather. Heart attack. Some people think I poisoned him. I didn't have to. His lifestyle killed him all on its own. A phone buzzed. Jin answered without breaking eye contact with her. Yes. The voice on the other end was panicked, rapid Korean she couldn't follow. But she saw Jin's expression change, just a flicker, like a mask slipping for a fraction of a second. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. Lock down the building, no one in or out. I'll be there in 3 minutes. He hung up. When he looked at Zainab again, something had shifted. He was assessing her differently now, calculating. Can you drive? The question was so unexpected she almost laughed. What? Can you drive? Each word was clipped, urgent. Yes, but... Come with me, now. He was already moving, his phone to his ear again, barking orders in Korean too fast for her to parse. I need to get home, Zainab protested, jogging to keep up as he strode down the hallway. My son. Jin stopped so abruptly she nearly crashed into him. Your son, where is he? At home, he's 6. I left him dinner, but I need to. Address. What? Give me your address, now. Something in his tone made her comply. He typed it into his phone, then made another call. Seo-jun, I'm sending you an address. Apartment 304. There's a 6-year-old boy inside. I need him secured and brought to the Golden Dragon within the hour. No, not a kidnapping, protective custody. His mother is with me. Yes, make sure he's not scared. Wait, what are you? Panic seized Zainab's chest. You can't just take my son. I'm not taking him, I'm protecting him. Jin started walking again. The call I just received, someone hit my brother's convoy 20 minutes ago. Professional job, military-grade weapons. Everyone's dead except my brother, and he's in surgery now with a bullet in his spine. They reached a private elevator. Jin's thumb pressed the scanner. Someone just declared war on my family. The elevator doors opened. Inside was an arsenal, guns mounted on magnetic strips, body armor hanging on hooks, a tactical vest with ceramic plates. And if someone's targeting the Jin family, he continued, pulling on the vest with practiced efficiency, they'll have done their research. They'll know about every transaction, every connection, every person who might matter. He looked at her. 3 minutes ago, I transferred 200 million won into your account as compensation. In the criminal underworld, that makes you matter. Zainab's blood turned to ice. Adeh. My men are already on the way. He'll be safe. Jin held out a handgun. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She stared at the gun. At this man she'd met 20 minutes ago. At the choice that wasn't really a choice at all. Her son, her baby. Someone might be going after him right now. She took the gun. Good. Jin's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it and swore in Korean. Change of plans. We're not going to the building. We're getting your son ourselves. Why? What happened? His jaw clenched. My men just arrived at your apartment. The door was already kicked in. Your son is gone. The world tilted. Zainab heard herself screaming Adez's name, felt her knees hit the elevator floor, tasted copper where she'd bitten through her lip. Strong hands caught her before she collapsed completely. "Breathe," Jin ordered. "Zainab, look at me, breathe." She couldn't. There wasn't enough air in the universe. "They took him to draw me out," Jin said, his voice cutting through her panic like a blade. "Which means they need him alive. Alive, do you understand? He's leverage. He's safe as long as he's useful." "Who?" she choked out. "Who took him?" "I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out." He pulled her to her feet. "And when I do, I'm going to burn their entire organization to the ground. But I need you functional. Can you be functional?" Zainab forced air into her lungs, forced her hands to stop shaking, forced herself to think past the terror. Her baby, her little boy who still slept with a nightlight and couldn't tie his shoes and laughed at cartoons she didn't understand. "I can be functional," she said. "Then let's go get your son." The elevator descended into a parking garage Zainab hadn't known existed. A black SUV was waiting, engine running. Jin slid into the driver's seat. She took the passenger side, the gun heavy in her lap. They were pulling out when Jin's phone rang again. He answered on speaker. "Mr. Jin." The voice was electronically distorted, gender indeterminate. "I believe I have something of yours. Well, something belonging to your new friend anyway. The cleaning lady's little boy. Cute kid. He won't stop crying for his mama." In the background, Zainab heard it, a child sobbing. Her child. "Ada," she screamed. "Mama," his voice tiny and terrified. "Mama, I'm scared." The line cut to static, then back to the distorted voice. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to come alone, Mr. Jin. No guards, no weapons, no wire, just you." The distorted voice had an almost playful quality now, like this was all a game. "There's an abandoned warehouse in Mullidong, Industrial District, Building 17. You have 1 hour. And if I bring company," Jin's voice was perfectly calm. "Then I mail the boy back to his mother in pieces, starting with fingers. He's got 10, should last us a while." Zainab made a sound, like a wounded animal. 45 minutes, the voice corrected. "I just decided I don't like your tone. Clock's ticking, Mr. Jin." The line went dead. Jin was already driving, the SUV weaving through late-night Seoul traffic with practiced precision. He pressed a button on the dashboard. "Hyun, Warehouse 17, Mullidong. I need thermal imaging, blueprint access, and a tactical team staged 3 blocks out. Silent approach, 30 minutes. Sir, if this is a trap." "It's absolutely a trap. That's why you're not coming in until I give the signal." He glanced at Zainab. "How much do you weigh?" The question was so bizarre she almost didn't answer. "What?" "Your weight, approximately." "I don't, maybe 60 kilos. Why?" Jin nodded, his mind clearly calculating something. "You're going to hate what I'm about to suggest." "I already hate everything about tonight." "Fair point." He took a sharp turn. "They said I come alone. They'll be scanning for body heat, additional personnel, anything that suggests I'm not following instructions. But they're expecting me. 1 person, 1 heat signature." Understanding dawned cold and terrible. "You want me to hide in the car?" "In the trunk, there's a partition, you can breathe, and I can release it from inside. When I give the signal, you come out shooting." He glanced at her again. "Have you ever fired a gun before?" "No." "That's fine. Point at the bad people. Pull the trigger. Try not to hit me or your son." "That's not funny." "I'm not joking." He pulled up a map on the dashboard screen. "Look, this is the warehouse. 3 entrances, main, side, and roof access. They'll have my entry point covered, probably the main door. They want me walking into a kill box, but they won't expect." "They took my son," Zainab interrupted. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears. Distant, cold. "These people took my 6-year-old baby to use as bait. Tell me how to make them regret that." Jin's expression shifted. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. "The gun I gave you has 15 rounds. There's a safety here, see it? Red means ready to fire. The recoil will surprise you. Aim for center mass, not the head. Don't try to be fancy. 3 shots per target. Don't stop to check if they're down. Keep moving until you find a death. What about you? I'll be providing a distraction. Something like a smile ghosted across his face. I'm very good at distractions. They pulled into an alley 4 blocks from the warehouse. Jin killed the engine and turned to face her fully. Once we do this, there's no going back. These people, whoever they are, they're challenging my authority, attacking my family. That means scorched earth, total war, and you'll be part of it. His eyes searched hers. You can still walk away. I can have my men stage a rescue. Lower success rate, but you won't be involved. Zainab thought of Adez's laugh, the way he drew her pictures of dinosaurs, how he'd started learning Korean by watching cartoons and would translate for her, so proud of himself. The gap where his first tooth had fallen out last month. How do I open the trunk from inside? Jin showed her. The space was cramped but not unbearable. There were water bottles, first aid supplies, and she noticed with a chill, plastic sheeting and industrial cleaner. Don't think about what those are usually for, Jin advised. Too late. He gave her an earpiece. Stay on this channel, I'll guide you. The trunk closed. Darkness swallowed her. The car started moving. Zainab focused on breathing, on the weight of the gun in her hands, on anything except the image of Adez scared and crying and alone. Talk to me, she whispered into the earpiece. Please, I need to not think. Jin was quiet for a moment. Then, what's Adez's favorite food? The question was so unexpected she almost laughed. Kimchi fried rice. He likes it better than any Nigerian food I make. I pretend to be offended. My nephew is the same way. Won't touch traditional Korean food. Only wants pizza and chicken nuggets. A pause. His name is Minjun, he's 4. The brother who was shot. Yes, Minjun's mother died in childbirth. My brother raised him alone. Jin's voice tightened. If my brother doesn't make it through surgery, Minjun will be my responsibility. I don't know the first thing about raising a child. You learn, Zainab said softly. You mess up constantly. You cry in the bathroom when they're asleep because you're sure you're ruining them, but you learn. You're a good mother. I left my son alone while I worked a night shift. Some man just kicked in our door and took him. You did what you had to do to survive. There's no shame in that. The car slowed. We're 2 minutes out. Zainab, listen to me. When you hear gunfire, count to 30, then come out, not before, even if you hear me screaming, even if it sounds like I'm dying. 30 seconds, promise me. I promise. Good, and Zainab, your son is going to be fine, I don't fail. The car stopped. She heard Jin get out, heard his footsteps fade. Then silence. Zainab counted her heartbeats. Made it to 200 before she heard voices, muffled through the trunk. Mr. Jin, punctual, I appreciate that. Where's the boy? Patience. First, we need to discuss terms. There are no terms. You took something of mine. I want it back. A laugh. Something of yours. The kid belongs to the cleaning lady. Word is you only met her tonight. Why do you care? I don't explain myself to dead men. A pause, then, search him. Zainab heard scuffling, muttered voices. Then the first voice again. He's clean, no weapons, no wire. Arrogant bastard actually came alone. I keep my word. Where is the boy? Inside, but here's the thing, we've had a change of plans. See, my employer didn't just want you here, he wanted you humbled. Broken. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to kneel, you're going to beg, and then you're going to watch while we put a bullet in that kid's head. And then maybe we'll kill you quick instead of slow. Zainab's finger found the trunk release. No, Jin said quietly. No. I'm giving you one chance. Walk away, leave the boy. I'll pretend this never happened. You're not in a position to negotiate. We have 8 men with guns pointed at your... The gunshot was deafening even through the trunk. Zainab started counting. 1, 2, 3. More gunshots, rapid fire, shouting, someone screaming. 10, 11, 12. An explosion, the SUV rocked. 20, 21. Get the kid, someone bellowed. He's going for THE. 30. Zainab hit the release and rolled out of the trunk. The warehouse yard was chaos, bodies on the ground, fire spreading from an overturned barrel, Jin behind a concrete pillar, reloading a gun that had definitely not been on him when they searched him. Blood on his shirt, his or someone else's, she couldn't tell. 3 men were dragging Adet toward a van. Her son, her baby, screaming her name. Zainab raised the gun, remembered Jin's instructions. Center mass, 3 shots, don't stop. The first trigger pull surprised her. The recoil nearly tore the gun from her hands. The bullet went wide. The second shot hit the closest man in the shoulder. He spun, stumbling. The third hit him in the chest. He went down. The other 2 men froze, shocked that someone was shooting at them. Fatal mistake. Zainab kept firing, kept moving forward. The gun kicked against her palms. Her ears rang. She couldn't hear Adele anymore, couldn't hear anything except the percussion of gunfire and her own breathing. 1 man dropped. The second raised his weapon. Jin appeared like a ghost, knife in hand. The blade went into the man's throat. Out, in again, efficient, brutal. The man crumpled. Adele stood alone, unhurt, his eyes huge and terrified. Mama. Zainab ran to him, dropping the gun, scooping him into her arms. He was shaking. She was shaking. They were both sobbing. I've got you, she whispered. I've got you, baby. You're safe, you're safe. Touching. The voice came from the warehouse entrance. A woman stepped out, 50s, elegant, wearing a business suit that probably cost more than Zainab made in a year. She held no weapon. Didn't need to. The 10 armed men flanking her made the point. Hello, little brother, she said to Jin. Jin went perfectly still. Jaiwoo. Surprise, the woman, Jaiwoo, smiled. Did you really think I'd forgotten about you, about what you did? What I did? You embezzled 50 million from the family, tried to frame me for it. Father exiled you. Father was a fool and now he's dead. The old guard is dead, time for new leadership. Jaiwoo gestured casually. You were always father's favorite, his heir, but you were weak, soft, I knew it, I just needed to prove it. Her eyes landed on Zainab and Adele. And here's my proof. The great Jin risking everything for a cleaning woman and her bastard child. Pathetic. Let them go. This is between us. Oh, I will, after you're dead. Jaiwoo nodded to her men. Kill my brother, spare the woman and child. I want them to watch. I want them to know what happens to people Jin cares about. The 10 men raised their weapons. Jin stepped in front of Zainab and Adele. Run, he said quietly. Not without. Run. The warehouse exploded. The blast wave threw Zainab to the ground, her body curling instinctively around Adele. Debris rained down, concrete chunks, twisted metal, shattered glass that glittered in the firelight like deadly snow. Her ears felt stuffed with cotton, all sound muted except for a high-pitched ringing. Adele was screaming. She could see his mouth moving, see tears streaming down his face, but couldn't hear him. She ran her hands over his body frantically, checking for blood, for wounds, for anything wrong. He seemed intact, terrified but intact. Through the smoke and flames, figures moved. Jin's tactical team, emerging from the shadows like wraiths. They'd been staged 3 blocks out, but the explosion had been their signal. Now they poured in with military precision, suppressed weapons, coordinated movements, lethal efficiency. Jaiwoo's men didn't stand a chance. It was over in 90 seconds. Zainab watched it happen through the smoke, still clutching Adele, unable to look away. This was the real-world Jin inhabited, not casinos and business suits, blood and fire and death. When the shooting stopped, Jin was standing over Jaiwoo. His sister was on the ground, leg twisted at a wrong angle, blood spreading beneath her. Not dead. Not yet. You always were too clever for your own good, Jin said quietly. Setting up the boy as bait, staging the ambush, even arranging the explosion as your escape route, except you forgot I'd have countermeasures. He crouched beside her. You wanted to prove I was weak. That caring about people made me vulnerable. Doesn't it? Jaiwoo coughed blood. Look at you. You nearly died for a woman you met 5 hours ago. No, I nearly died stopping you from murdering a child. Jin's voice was colder than Zainab had ever heard it. There's a difference. You see compassion as weakness. That's why you lost. That's why you'll always lose. So kill me then. Prove me right. Jin stood. No, you're going to live. You're going to stand trial in front of the family council. And you're going to spend the rest of your life in a cell, thinking about how your own arrogance destroyed you. He gestured to his men. Get her to a hospital, under guard. If she dies, you all die with her. Then he walked over to Zainab and Ade. Can you walk? He asked. Zainab nodded, not trusting her voice. Her legs shook as she stood, Ade clinging to her like a baby monkey. He'd buried his face in her neck and wouldn't look up. Jin's SUV was riddled with bullet holes, but still functional. He drove in silence through Seoul's empty early morning streets. Zainab watched the city pass by, neon signs, convenience stores, normal people living normal lives who had no idea what had just happened 4 miles away. Where are we going? She finally asked. Somewhere safe. You can't go back to your apartment. Jaiwoo might have been working alone, but she might not have been. Until I'm sure you both need protection. For how long? As long as it takes. Ade finally looked up. His eyes were red and swollen. Mama, who is this man? His name is Jin. He helped us. Those men hurt me. Ade's voice was so small. They grabbed me from my bed. I was sleeping. I called for you, but you weren't there. Guilt stabbed through Zainab's chest. I know, baby. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. They said they'd cut off my fingers if I cried, but I couldn't stop crying. I wanted you. Zainab pulled him closer, her own tears falling into his hair. You're safe now. I promise. I won't let anyone hurt you again. Jin's hands tightened on the steering wheel, but he said nothing. They drove for another 20 minutes before pulling up to a high-rise building in Gangnam. Jin used a private elevator that required both a keycard and fingerprint scan. They ascended to the top floor. The penthouse was nothing like Zainab expected. No ostentatious displays of wealth. Just clean lines, comfortable furniture, and a wall of windows overlooking Seoul's skyline as dawn began to break. Guest room is down the hall, Jin said. Second door on the left. There are clothes in the closet, my sister-in-law's things from when she stayed here. They should fit. Bathrooms attached. He looked at Ade. Are you hungry? Ade shook his head, pressing closer to Zainab. I'll make food anyway. Kids need to eat. Jin headed to the kitchen. Zainab carried Ade to the guest room. It was larger than their entire apartment. The bed was enormous, covered in soft blankets. She set him down gently. Can I take a bath? Ade asked. I don't like how I smell. Her heart broke. Of course, baby. She ran the water, helped him undress, checked again for injuries she might have missed. Bruises on his arms where they'd grabbed him, a scrape on his knee. Otherwise, miraculously, he seemed unhurt. While he soaked, she found clothes in the closet. Jin had been right. His sister-in-law must have been about her size. Designer labels she recognized from magazines. She chose the simplest items, jeans and a sweater, and changed out of her torn uniform. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. The woman staring back had hard eyes, steady hands that had killed 2 people hours ago. She should feel something about that. Guilt, horror, something. Instead, she felt nothing, just a cold, crystalline clarity. She'd protected her son. That was all that mattered. Ade fell asleep in the bath. She dried him off, dressed him in a t-shirt she found that swallowed him, and carried him to the bed. He was unconscious before his head hit the pillow. Zainab found Jin in the kitchen, cracking eggs into a pan. Bacon sizzled. Toast popped. The domesticity of the scene was surreal. He asleep? Jin asked. Yes. Good, he needs rest. Jin plated the food, scrambled eggs, bacon, toast, sliced fruit arranged almost artistically. He set it in front of her. Eat. I'm not hungry. Eat anyway. You've been running on adrenaline for hours. When it crashes, you'll need fuel in your system. She picked up the fork. The eggs were perfect. She hated that she noticed. "Your brother," she said. "The one who was shot, did he?" "He made it through surgery, paralyzed from the waist down but alive. Min-jun will still have a father." Jin poured coffee. "The men who attacked his convoy were Jai-woo's people. She planned the whole thing. Hit my brother to draw my security away. Arranged the theft accusation against you to get you vulnerable. Took your son to bait me out. Sophisticated. Almost worked." "How did you know to plant the explosives?" "I didn't. My tactical team did when I told them to stage near the warehouse. Standard protocol, set charges on potential exit routes, be ready to control the battlefield." He took a sip of coffee. "Jai-woo assumed I'd come alone and unprepared because I was being emotional. She underestimated how thoroughly I prepare when I care about something." "Why do you care?" The question came out sharper than she intended. "About me, about Ade. You don't know us." Jin was quiet for a long moment. 7 years ago, I told you about the woman my father's men stripped, the one who killed herself. Her name was Yoon Min-seo. She was my girlfriend." Zainab's breath caught. "We'd been together for 2 years. I loved her. My father didn't approve. She came from nothing like you, but I thought love would be enough." His jaw clenched. "Someone stole from our family warehouse, 50 million won worth of merchandise. My father accused Min-seo. She denied it. He didn't believe her. He had his men humiliate her, publicly, to teach her a lesson about lying to the family. But she wasn't lying. No, Jai-woo had stolen the merchandise and framed Min-seo. I discovered the truth 3 days after Min-seo jumped. 3 days too late." Jin's eyes met hers. "I was 23 and powerless. I couldn't stop my father, couldn't save the woman I loved. I vowed that if I ever had power, I'd never let something like that happen again." "So when you saw me?" "I saw Min-seo. I saw a second chance to be the man I wasn't strong enough to be 7 years ago." He set down his coffee cup. "You remind me of her. Not just the situation. Your strength, the way you fought even when everything was against you. She would have liked you." Something warm and dangerous bloomed in Zainab's chest. She pushed it away. "What happens now?" "Now I clean up the mess, deal with the family council, make sure Jai-woo's people are rooted out, figure out who else might be a threat." "I meant for me and Ade." Jin studied her. "That depends. Do you want to go back to your old life? I can arrange it. New apartment, new job, security detail, you'd be safe. But you'd always be looking over your shoulder, always wondering if someone else might come after you. The world I live in, once you're touched by it, you're never completely free." He leaned forward. "Or there's option 2. "Which is?" "You stay here under my protection. I find you real work, not cleaning. Something that pays well and uses your brain. Ade gets into the best schools. You both get security, stability, everything you came to Seoul looking for." "In exchange for what?" "Nothing. This isn't a transaction." Jin's expression softened. "But if you stay in my world, you should understand it. I'll need to teach you things, how to spot threats, basic self-defense, who to trust and who to avoid. You won't be helpless again." Zainab thought about her apartment with the broken lock, about stretching $40 across a week of meals, about the constant, grinding fear that one bad day would send them spiraling into homelessness. She thought about the gun in her hands, the feeling of power, of control, of fighting back. "Okay," she said, "we'll stay." Something flickered in Jin's eyes. Relief, satisfaction, it was gone before she could name it. "Good, get some rest, we'll start tomorrow." He stood to leave. "Jin." He turned back. "Thank you, for my son, for everything." "Don't thank me yet. My world is dangerous. You might end up regretting this choice." But he smiled when he said it, just a little. Zainab finished eating alone. Dawn light streamed through the windows, painting Seoul in shades of gold and pink. Somewhere in this city, Jai-woo was in a hospital bed under guard. Somewhere, Jin's brother was learning to live with paralysis. Somewhere, families were being destroyed and rebuilt and destroyed again in the endless cycle of power and revenge. And here she was, in a penthouse that cost more than she'd earn in 10 lifetimes, her son safe in the next room, her hands still smelling faintly of gunpowder. She should leave. Should grab Ade and run as far as this dangerous man and his dangerous world would allow. Instead, she found herself walking to the living room where Jin sat on the couch, phone to his ear, managing his empire even now. He glanced up when she entered, held up one finger, just a minute. She sat across from him and waited. When he finished his call, she said, "Teach me." "Teach you what?" "Everything, how to survive in your world, how to protect my son, how to be more than a victim." Her eyes held his. "You said you don't fail me." Jin's smile was slow and genuine. "Deal." Neither of them noticed the figure watching from a building across the street, or the camera lens focused on Jin's window, or the message being typed. Target confirmed. The cleaning woman and child are with him, awaiting further instructions. The message sent. And somewhere in Seoul, someone read it and smiled.